Hey guys, I'm back here again for a new video, and this is going to be another personal video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about something that I was diagnosed with when I was very young, and it really affected me when I was younger, and it still does affect me now, but it does not affect me as much as it used to. Back when I was very young, and this is, back when I was in elementary school, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And it really affected me, and I really struggled with it back, when I was in school. Now, like a lot of kids, I was very hyper as a kid, but I was a lot more hyper than other kids. And I ended up finding out that I had ADHD. I was diagnosed with it from a doctor, and because I was incredibly hyper, it was very hard for me to concentrate in school. Now I could concentrate on movies and stuff like that because that interested me, but if there was something that didn't interest me, I just could not. I just could not follow it. I could not concentrate on it, and it was things like math and history, stuff like that. I really struggled with it, and I struggled with it throughout elementary school. I just was not very good at schoolwork because of it, and also I was incredibly hyper during then. I was so hyper that the doctor that diagnosed me, or I don't know if it was the same doctor, but I know that when I was diagnosed with it, either it was the same doctor or if it was a different doctor. I really don't remember because like I said, this was back in elementary school when I was very young. I think they also thought that I had something mentally wrong with me. But they diagnosed with me with ADHD, and I struggled with it throughout elementary school. And I was very hyper, and I would jump around a lot, and I would shake my hands and stuff like that, and I fell back. As other kids would succeed and move on, I ended up falling back, and it did affect me in middle school as well, but not as much. Other things affected me in middle school. I'm actually planning on doing videos talking about my experience in middle and high school because I think that what I went through during middle school and high school has affected me now, and so I do plan on doing videos talking about my middle school and my high school experiences. But I wanted to do this video just talking about this right now because it was something that affected me a lot when I was younger. I even remember having to get a tutor in school where I would always have like a period where I would just go and I would just do work with this tutor in whatever subject I wasn't doing well in at the time. And like I said, it was subjects like math, social studies, history. I always did okay with English because if it was something I was able to concentrate on things that interested me, like movies. Movies had always been something that I was able to concentrate on because I enjoyed them. I've always enjoyed movies ever since I was very young. And also reading. I really enjoyed reading. It was one of my favorite things to do in school was, being able to read books and stuff like that. I did when I was younger, and I would go to my school's library. I was somebody that whenever I checked out books, I would just look at pictures though. So I didn't read all the books I was getting. I actually ended up telling I think the librarian that I did that, and she said, no, you don't check out books just to look at the pictures. You check out books to read them. And even though, to be honest, I mean, she can't really tell me that. But it was something that made me feel different. When I was younger, it made me feel like I wasn't as good as other kids because I would see other kids excel and, succeed and stuff. And I would see, like I remember when I was younger, we were learning multiplication tables, And while everybody else got up to like, times 5 or times 6, I was still struggling with my threes. 3, 6, 9, I was still struggling with that while other kids were going up. I even remember one time my teacher was like talking about she was telling us what multiplication tables we were on, and she was saying, oh, okay, so now you're on, I forget everybody's names, but I'll just say, oh yeah, Zach, you're on your sixes, Caitlin, you're on your sevens, and then she was like, oh, Cody, you're still on your threes, and I remember some of my classmates would laugh at me because of it, and so just stuff like that just made me feel more like an outsider. It's made me feel more like I was different, and that it was a bad thing. And it did, and I did struggle with it a bit more in middle school. But like I said, there were other things that I struggled with in middle school. But definitely in kindergarten through elementary school, it really made it hard for me to it just really made it hard for me to concentrate, and it was something that I dealt with every day. But, oh, my cat Bella just went out the door. I didn't want people to see my door open and be like, what was that? It was my cat Bella. She just went out. But as I got older, it stopped affecting me as much. And now, during middle school, it affected me some. During high school, is when I think it kind of stopped affecting me as much. And now that I'm older, it doesn't affect me like it used to. Now I do still feel like I do have ADHD, so there are some times where I'll notice it, like I'll get overly excited over certain things, like if I'm hanging out with my friends or something like that. I'll get overly excited, and then I'll stop and be like, oh, I should calm down a little bit, because I still get excited over things, like more than, I guess, maybe somebody who doesn't have ADHD would. But as far as concentration and stuff like that, it has gotten a lot better for me. I don't struggle with it like I used to. Like I remember when I first started my job at Big Lots, my first job, I was worried to get behind the cash register because I didn't think I'd be able to remember everything you have to do, because there's multiple steps. And that's one thing that I always struggled with in school, was multiple steps, like multiplication tables, and anything that required me to do more than one or two things, I was really bad at. But when I got behind the cash register, and when I learned how to do it, I realized that, it wasn't, I didn't struggle with it as much. I figured it out. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better at things. And now that I'm 26, going on 27, it really doesn't affect me as much. And I wanted to do this video because I wanted to talk about my experiences, and I wanted to, talk to anybody who might be struggling with ADHD now. Now I know that, there's different types of ADHD, and I know that it affects people differently. So, I'm not here to say, oh, this is what everybody goes through, and I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you guys my experience, and I just wanted to do this video just to say that if you're someone who is struggling with ADHD, and if you're young, like I was, I promise you, it gets better. I promise you. As you get older, it will get better. Now, like I said, I know that there are different forms of ADHD. I know some people have to take medication for it. I actually did take medication for it. Back when I was in, I think, middle school, I took medication for it at some point. Either middle school, or it was during my 4th or 5th grade in high school. It was around that time. And I don't remember what medication I took, but it made me so, I was like a zombie. Like, I remember sitting in sitting in my lunchroom, and I was trying to eat, and I could barely pick up the spoon, and I was barely able to chew. Like, it was that bad. Like, I just could, bring it up to my mouth, and I would just slowly chew. Like, whatever the medication that I was on, it was kind of like a tranquilizer almost. Like, I could barely keep my head up. I was like dead pretty much most of the day. So, I know that there are people that do take medication for it. I hope that if you are someone that needs it, I hope that you get the right medication, because, whatever I was on was not good for me, because during that time, I was still incredibly hyper. So whatever medication I was on was something that was going to bring down me being hyper. I don't remember what it was. But it really just, I was so down. So I hope that, if you're somebody who has ADHD, you don't take that medication. I think that, I hope you get medication that helps you concentrate more, and it helps you pass your classes. Because back in school, I did not do well in school. When I was younger, I was a D and F student. I'm man enough to admit it. I was a D and F student. I was not good in school, and I think ADHD was one of the reasons. I was I was slow. I couldn't remember certain things. I couldn't concentrate when the teacher was telling me things. It got so bad that eventually I didn't even answer questions on some of my tests. I would just leave them blank. It became that bad because I knew whatever I put there would be wrong. And I guess I'd rather and back then I would rather just not try and fail than put something down wrong. But I mean, back then it didn't matter because I was still going to fail anyway. So, in retrospect, looking back, I should have at least put in more effort. Middle school was a lot worse for me as far as not doing, not putting in effort. But like I said, I do want to talk about that. But the point of this video was I just wanted to talk to you guys, let you guys know that this is something that I dealt with when I was younger, and I also just wanted to let you guys know that it does get better at some point. Rather, if you're somebody who's young, who's dealing with it, it will get better. You will learn to be able to control it more, and you will learn to be able to concentrate more. But like I said, I know that there's different kinds of ADHD, and some of them are more intense than others. So I can only talk about my experience, but I just wanted to do this video just to let you guys know that it does get better. And I wish everybody who deals with it the best of luck, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to go through it. I know what it's like to be held back, because I have been held back in school. I have been held back a grade in school. I was technically held back twice, but I was actually held back but I won't get into that. But I just wanted to do this video just to let you guys know that it does get better. Anyway, guys, I'm sweating in here. I got the air conditioner off, so I'm just really sweating right now. I'm about to turn it back on because it's so hot. But I wanted to do this video and just talk about my experience. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. My next personal video, I will be talking about my middle school experience, and I will be talking about my high school experience as well, because I went through a lot of stuff during middle and high school, and I just want to talk about what it's like, what it was like for me, and hopefully these videos can help anyone that might be going through it. If my videos can help somebody, then that's great for me. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you're somebody who struggles with ADHD, let me know how it affects you, and because I'm open to talking about it, and I hope that this video helped you in some way. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope everyone is having a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.